What's up, RotoWire people? It's Adam Zdroik. I'm going over Premier League lineups in game week 17. Here we go. All right, I'm back with a lineup show. It's been a little bit. It's been busy. We've had a lot of matches, but we're talking here. We're talking lineups. Rotowire.com/soccer trial. It's a 48-hour trial. You can get this cheat sheet. I'm over on our FPL cheat sheet. Includes all 10 matches for the Premier League. I'm going over all 20 teams. We also have odds in here. We have goal scoring odds. We got stats. We got everything in here. You can use this for FPL. You can use this for Fantrax. You can use this for so rare, whatever you want to use. So, uh, it's been a busy week, but I'm going to try and make sense of what's going on in the Premier League. There's a lot of, as you can see, there's a lot of questionable marks here for these players, and we're still waiting on some press conferences. Maybe we're not going to get a lot of information on them. So I'll give my thoughts on, percentage of chance to start and that kind of thing. All right, this first game we're talking about Nottingham Forest are home against Tottenham. This one is Friday. Remember, if you play FPL, play whatever. There is a Friday match this week. This one is 3 p.m. Eastern, December 15th. That is a Friday. Nottingham Forest, Steve Cooper he got a point last week. They got a goal early against Wolverhampton. Dropped the full 3 points there, but he went back to a 3-5-2-ish kind of a formation, maybe somewhat out of necessity because Serge Aurier wasn't there, though Ola Aina, I believe, was available still, though he was dropped to the bench. So Nico Williams actually was on, and he crossed the ball to Toffolo for that first goal. And I'm giving it another start here. Again, rotowire.com/soccer trial. You need to be a subscriber to just click in this profile and see what he did. So this is a guy who started early last season, got a bunch of minutes, got a bunch of good fantasy numbers, then was benched because he's not great defensively. And as you can see here, he started earlier in the season, was benched. I can't even remember if he had an injury or not, has barely played. And then after a 5-0 loss at Fulham, Steve Cooper decided, you know what, Nico Williams, let's have at it. Maybe we can use your offensive ability on the wing. So put him in, got him in again. And I got Kouyaté, Mangala, Ryan Yates in the midfield. Dominguez is still there. Chris Wood didn't start last game. Going with this Morgan Gibbs-White, Alanga situation up top. And then Murillo is dealing with an injury himself. Steve Cooper didn't really say much, which is kind of typical. So he may be moved out of the starting 11 for Felipe, alongside Bowley and Niakate. And then also Matt Turner returned to the 11 for Vlachodimos in that last game. So, they got a point from that last game. So maybe Steve Cooper keeps going with the same formation, keeps going with mostly all these same players. This is one of the more difficult ones. It's like, well, he could really do anything here. It could go back to a 4-3-3. Maybe we see Chris Wood in there. Maybe we see Hudson-Odoi in there. There's a lot of players where we could see in the starting 11. Nicholas Dominguez has been getting a lot of run as well. Ibrahim Sangare is another midfielder who could come in, but he mixed things up last game. They went up a goal, so I'm thinking maybe they keep things going like that. Tottenham, no changes. If I am looking over this, no changes from their last game. It was the 4-1 win against Newcastle. I guess the news today was that Lo Celso is out for this match. He did come off the bench in the last game, so still nothing changes. Kind of back to what this 4-2-3-1. They're doing this 4-2-3-1 with James Maddison, and then with some injuries and suspensions, they had to mix things up a little bit. And now they're back to Pape Sarr, Basuma in the midfield, and then Kulusevski's kind of in that James Maddison role, though not exactly. And then Richarlison moved back to the starting 11, and that mostly put Son back on the wing. And then Richarlison, I think did he get 2 goals in that last game? Something like that. I know he scored at least once. So no changes for Tottenham. Newcastle are home against Fulham. Newcastle in a tough spot. This one has some questions because Anthony Gordon he felt something in his hamstring on Wednesday. We'll see if Eddie Howe has some updates for everyone. Those usually come early Friday. So we're going to know early Friday what the status of Anthony Gordon is, or at least hopefully. Isak should be back there. Callum Wilson started on Wednesday. I got Longstaff in here. He's back. I can't remember how much he actually played on Wednesday. Let me check this. Yeah, 26 minutes, 19 minutes. So I think he's going to be back in there. We could see something if Anthony Gordon isn't available. Joelinton is a guy who plays on the left wing. He would move up, and then Lewis Miley would get another start. Kieran Trippier, as everyone knows, he's suspended. So I moved Livermento to the right side. Dan Burn back into the starting 11. He's in at left back. He came on, got a few minutes in the most recent match on Wednesday against AC Milan. So there are a couple questions. I'll say right now, I mean, I'll say 50-50 on Anthony Gordon. I'm going to be a lot of 50-50s here because there's a lot of, okay, this guy came off with the hamstring injury, but it wasn't serious. I think Eddie Howe's quote was that Anthony Gordon didn't think it was anything. So, take that what you want. But this game is on Saturday, so it's not a huge turnaround here. So we'll see what Eddie Howe has to say on Anthony Gordon. That's probably the main question. If he's out, we'll probably get Lewis Miley getting a start again, and then we'll see what the bench looks like. But as you can see here, there's still plenty of injuries there for Newcastle. Fulham, Willian is the question. Another situation where it's like, oh well, Fulham were up however many goals in the first half. He got one of those goals, came off. It was a hamstring issue. According to Marco Silva there. And actually Marco Silva didn't even mention it in today's press conference. So that kind of leads me to believe that Willian's fine. He was just subbed off, maybe a minor tweak or something else. Wasn't more of a precautionary sub off, as I think Fulham were up 3 goals in the first half there or something like that against West Ham in that last game. Issa Diop is getting there. I believe the quote was that he is not ready to start. He's been training, but he's not ready to play. So we're going to get Bastien out of Rio back in there. Tam Kearney has been kind of one of the revelations of recent Fulham matches. And also Alex Iwobi moving into more of an attacking role has also helped things out a little bit. He's just like a workhorse with Fulham, something that some of these other guys don't have. If Willian doesn't start, I think it'd be Harry Wilson. He came on in that last game and looked pretty solid. Otherwise, Raul Jimenez is in form, so he's still in there. Manchester City, of course, we do have the question of Erling Haaland. We're going to get the Pep quotes. We'll see what Pep says early in the week. He said Haaland's going to be back in training on Thursday. Really, there hasn't been any updates about Haaland returning to training on Thursday, so take that however you want. I don't believe Doku is actually going to be questionable. I believe he's still going to be out. We'll see what about Grealish. He had to come off on Tuesday at halftime of that game. Didn't think it was anything serious, maybe a precautionary move. So something to keep an eye on. If he's not ready, there may be some changes here because without Doku, without Haaland, we'll see who would actually come into this role. Could be like a Matheus Nunes place here. No, I do have a 4-2-3-1. I think it's a 4-2-3-1 without Haaland. And if Haaland does start, we'd go back to like this 3-2-4-1, where probably Rodri and Akanji. We'll see. John Stones played however many minutes on Wednesday. He's been battling this constant injury and then injury for pretty much all season. So I'm not sure that he's just going to be rushed back into getting multiple starts, back-to-back starts kind of thing. So I got Akanji would probably be in that midfield role or in the center back role here. And then Kovacic started that last league game for them. So that's where we're at. Alvarez in the front, in the number 9 here, but he did not play actually midweek. So obviously he's going to start no matter what. So that's the main question. Grealish, I'd say Grealish is probably 70-30 to start. I haven't really seen anything about anything major. So Haaland, I'd say he's below 50% in terms of his chances to start. I think when you look at it, when you look at Crystal Palace's lineup, and you start wondering, is this team actually in the championship? So yeah, Tyreek Mitchell not going to be available to come back. So it's Klein and Joel Ward at fullback. And then the big thing here is, so Will Hughes, Chris Richards, I just put in Ahamada in the midfield because I don't know if they have anyone else, really. We saw one of these weird lineups earlier in the season. I think they're home against Nottingham Forest, and they eked out a 0-0 draw, but this lineup might be even worse than that. So Edouard picked up an knee issue in the last game, went out at halftime. Mateta, so maybe he's going to be back in there. Elise going to be back in the starting 11. He was rested in the last game just because he was playing so much. Jefferson Lerma picked up a hamstring injury. Johnstone picked up a calf injury. So we got this third string keeper projected to start, Remy Matthews. Dean Henderson, it remains out, the second string goalkeeper, current second string goalkeeper. So there's a lot of questions. Ahamada, I don't even know if he started this year, but he's been getting more minutes than some of these other guys. He's been getting more minutes than Riedewald, been getting more minutes than Franco. So I'm going with this youngster Ahamada, a 21-year-old in the midfield. I don't know what this is going to look like. We could get something to where maybe someone else starts. I don't know. This is just a bad lineup. Look at all these absences. I didn't even mention Jordan Ayew is suspended, so that's another player gone for a trip to Manchester City. Olise is basically going to be their only creative force here, which he already has been, and now you're taking out Ayew. And man, I mean, Chris Richards is always. I mean, he's played well in this midfield spot, but he's also been playing outside of his usual formation on the back line. So, really tough situation. I'm not even sure what the Roy Hodgson press conference will change here. Maybe Edouard is fine. Maybe Lerma's fine. Maybe Mitchell's fine. But we'll see. We'll see what the situation is with all those guys. All those guys got subbed off recently. Mitchell has already missed a match. So, again, Johnstone, same thing. But muscle injuries, not entirely positive, but we'll see. Robert Sanchez, unknown about his situation. We're going to hear from Pochettino on Friday. So I got Colwill playing left back because Cucurella picked up an injury last game. I got Disasi playing right back because Malo Gusto still isn't healthy, and we know about Reece James. Actually, Reece James, we're missing something here. Reece James is out for like 3 months, so we got to double check that one there. We got a lot of questionable tags for Chelsea. Seems overwhelming here. But compared to the last game, I know Chelsea rotated a bit. So I got Nicholas Jackson back in there. I got Raheem Sterling back in there. I think the one question we'll have is Mudryk going to get another start? Mudryk has started. That's moved Sterling out of the 11. I think that moved Cole Palmer out of the 11 at one point. He also started when Conor Gallagher was suspended. So, but I think this is the Pochettino's preferred look of what they have here, though. I think Mudryk is a possibility. Malo Gusto may be a possibility as well. And let me check on. All right. So Sheffield United. They have been changing up their formation a little bit here. They do get back McBurney from his suspension, but in I believe it was today's press conference, not Heckingbottom, Chris Wilder, just talked up Will Asula, pumped up Will Asula a little bit. So I got Will Asula still in the starting 11 ahead of McBurney, who, probably wasn't the smartest red card the last time we saw him on the field. And I think that actually maybe he purposely wanted Heckingbottom to be fired. Either way, Andre Brooks has been starting, doing this. They played against Liverpool a couple games ago, so we didn't get a great read on the formation. But in the last game, they actually won, and Opta gave us this 4-1 formation where Lowe was in the starting 11. He's been starting over Luke Thomas. Jaden Bogle's in there. We'll see about Baldock. I don't think he's going to be ready to start. Jack Robinson is also suspended, so that's another center back that's not going to be available. And then Archer and McAtee have been kind of played at least on the last game a little more on the wings. So Archer's playing in kind of a different role that he had been in, and then Hammer probably playing a little more forward than Andre Brooks. Bournemouth, this has kind of been, they were in great form. This has kind of been their bread and butter lineup where Philip Billing is coming off the bench. Clivert has been in that central role, getting, 60 or so minutes every game. And then Tavernier and Semenyo have been on the wings. Ryan Christie, they've been pumping his tackle stats this season. Lewis Cook is also, we'll see about Max Aarons. I think Adam Smith will still get the start here. Luton Town, so they get Issa Kabore back. He was loan locked in the last game against Manchester City. And so Adebayo started over Carlton Morris, who had been struggling. Adebayo also scored that one goal against Manchester City, so I think he keeps his spot. We'll see if there's an update on Agbene. So Agbene picked up all these minor injuries over the international break. I'll click on his profile here. Picked up like an ankle injury, picked up a hamstring injury, and then he played through. He played 90 minutes, played 60, basically played through his injuries. Then he came off the bench against Arsenal. Then they decided, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't play him through some of these injuries. So he's got a week of rest. Might be back in there. we'll see. If he doesn't, it's going to be Jacob Brown probably getting the start up front there with Townsend. And then we also have Nakamba is suspended, so Pelly Rudock moves back into the starting 11. Speaking of suspensions, I don't know if I've missed anyone as I'm going through all these. I don't think so. Burnley are home against Everton. No changes here for Burnley. They pretty much have been using the same guys mostly. Odo Bear got the start over Jacob Brun Larson in the last game, and he looked pretty good. I think he was one of their better players. So I think he's going to keep the start there. They do have Charlie Taylor is suspended. And I think that so Connor Roberts is basically benched in favor of Vitinho at right back. I don't know who else they got there. Hans Delcroix has a couple starts this season, but he hasn't even been making the team in a couple of these recent games. So I got Connor Roberts starting not on his preferred side. Maybe it's going to be Delcroix. Maybe it's going to be someone else. Maybe they do something where Dara O'Shea plays there, something like that. It's funny that Connor Roberts has just moved away from the starting 11. But that's kind of where they've been lately. That is the main question. Who takes the spot of Charlie Taylor at right or at left back? Everton have a few things here. It sounds like Keane's going to be fine. He wasn't in the squad last week. They do have injuries to Ashley Young and Seamus Coleman. So Nathan Patterson probably going to get the start there at right back. They do have Idrissa Gay is suspended. So Amadou Onana, who came off the bench with the calf issue in the last game, set to get the start again, assuming he's healthy, assuming he's ready to start. Calvert-Lewin also seems like he's healthy again. So starting again as well. Brentford, massive injuries, massive situation here where is Matthias Jensen going to be back? We've been kind of in this is fever range for the past couple weeks, and he hasn't come back yet. So I don't think he's going to be there. And Bomo's still out. They still got all these guys out. Look at this lineup. A lot of iffy questions here, but I think this is kind of what they roll out. This is against Aston Villa, who are off some massive wins, but this is home against Aston Villa. I do wonder if Thomas Frank goes to his 5-3-2 formation because how well Aston Villa is playing, but I'm keeping the 4-3-3 here. If Nathan Collins is ready, maybe they do the 5-3-2 just because they have more regular starters available to them. If Nathan Collins is ready to start, I think that is a possibility. So if he started, you'd probably see Lewis Potter move out of the 11, and then we're in the 5-3-2 formation again. Otherwise, this is kind of what they've been doing. Janelt left back, Godos right back. Yarmolaike's been getting a ton of minutes. Onyeka's been starting a bunch without Jensen in there. And then Noah Bomo, so Keane Lewis Potter got the start last game. And then Visa and Neil Maupay. I mean, tough situation right there for Brentford. Aston Villa have a couple suspensions. Luca Digne is suspended. Douglas Luiz is suspended. They did just play today, but they rotated a ton. So I think we're going to get a pretty normal squad here. Alex Moreno actually started today. Probably should have double-checked how many minutes he got, but I think he's going to be their only actual left-back option unless he wants to move one of these center backs over to left back or something like that. I don't know if he wants to move Kanza to the left side, something, and then Mehdi Cash is starting at right back, something like that. But Moreno did get the start today. So I found that a little bit interesting. I'd say Moreno's still like 70-30 to start this game. He is off an injury, so I would say it's not guaranteed that Moreno starts. Tielemans moving back in this midfield role without Douglas Luiz, so he's in there next to Kamara. And pretty much all the same guys. I do have Moussa Diaby. He did start on Thursday as well. But I do have him back in the starting 11 because Douglas Luiz is suspended. And Tielemans had been starting pretty much all these games, just in a little different role while Douglas Luiz was available. Arsenal, this is pretty much what they have. They rotated a bunch midweek. Kai Havertz did start that one, but all these other guys pretty much didn't start outside of Gabriel and Saliba. I think Kai Havertz is going to remain in there. There was a question at one point about Fabio Vieira, about Leandro Trossard, that kind of a thing. But Kai Havertz has been kind of the guy. So he's getting the start there. Pretty much no changes. Another team, Brighton, played a pretty strong lineup today. I think that game is still going on as I'm speaking. So we'll see. I think all these guys actually got starts. It was pretty much an A squad that started Thursday. So it could be a situation where De Zerbi just doesn't care and he's just going to rotate a ton in this game. A trip to Arsenal, just kind of a weird strategy because they already had advanced in Europa League. But Adam Lallana has basically been starting all these league games and only going 45 minutes. So he's in there. I know Bill Gilmore started today. I believe Veltman started today. I would have to double check that one. I'm not entirely sure if Ferguson started today, but again, because they have so many injuries, there's not a ton to rotate. Baleba and Dahoud are options as defensive midfielders we've seen in recent games. So that is a possibility. James Milner is a possibility at fullback as well. So there's options, but I mean, do you want to go into this game with James Milner at fullback, going against Martinelli and Saka on the wings? Probably not, but we'll see what De Zerbi decides on there. West Ham, they got back Edson Alvarez from his illness last weekend, so he's going to be back in there and pretty much back to their usual lineup. They had to mix some things up in their last game, which was a 5-0 loss against Fulham. They had to mix a couple things up. They didn't really have the enforcer of Edson Alvarez in the midfield, and that really hurt them a bunch. So he's back. So they're going to be back to normal there, West Ham. I don't think Moyes is going to make too many changes there. Mikel Antonio is still out. And then Wolverhampton, we could see, I don't think it's going to happen, but Aiden Ree is available again. He's been out a few matches. I still think Hugo Bueno is going to start there, at least until, Aiden Ree gets a few more minutes in him. Lamina picked up an issue in the last game, but he said he was fine. Someone said he was fine. I think he's going to be fine for this one in the midfield. Otherwise, they have Traore, Doyle, a couple other guys who could come in there. Sarabia, clicking to his profile here, started the last couple matches. Has been kind of the Pedro Neto of this team. Has been kind of the creator, a little more of a creator than Jean Rickner Bellegarde there in the attack. So Sarabia just gives them a little something that they need in the attack. Otherwise, it's been kind of the same formation, a lot of the same players that O'Neill has been running out there. Liverpool. All right. Konate started today, but I think he's going to be fine. It'll be between him and Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa also started today, but I'll give Konate the edge. He's been dealing with a nagging injury for the majority of the season, so he's still ramping up his minutes. But we got Diaz, Salah, and Nunez in the front three. I don't think any of them started today. And then McAllister is still out for maybe another week or two. Got to look at his profile to find out what happened there. I think he got studs stuck in his leg, stuck in his knee or something like that. Something pretty gruesome. So he's been out. He's going to remain out. Endo started in that last game. Szoboszlai pretty much starts every game. Gravenberch has found his way into a regular spot above Curtis Jones. Speaking of Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott both started today, so I don't think either of those guys are going to be in there. And then Tsimikas has been kind of the guy lately over Joe Gomez, though I guess Joe Gomez is an option to start at center back or even left back as well. But I think this is kind of what we'll go with Konate and Tsimikas here. Manchester United. We end with the most questionable situations possible. So we got injuries midweek. We got injuries to Maguire. We got injuries to Luke Shaw. Rashford has been missing with whatever injuries. Sounds like he hasn't been agreeing with Eric Ten Hag. So I don't know. We'll see what's going on there. If Rashford is available, you'd think that he'd start. So I guess I should say Bruno Fernandes is suspended. He's out for this one. A guy who basically plays 90 minutes every game for Manchester United. Then you throw in these defender injuries. Sergio Reguilón's an option. I got Dalot in here at left back. He just plays almost every match for Manchester United. Wan-Bissaka at right back. Johnny Evans, Rafael Varane at center back. We could see, I initially had Scott McTominay playing in this attacking midfield role, but I don't think that you can come in this game against Liverpool, coming in with Amrabat, Kobe Mino, and Scott McTominay in your midfield and feel good about yourselves. Bruno Fernandes, obviously none of these players can really replicate what Bruno Fernandes does, but I just think they need someone a little more, creative on the ball than McTominay in that central attacking role. McTominay is a great goal scorer. He has a nose for a goal, some would say, but I threw Hannibal in there. Kobe Mino could be in there. Hannibal hasn't been getting a ton of minutes. We'll see how that turns out. Garnacho, Anthony Hoyland are the preferred options here, as long as Rashford, is on the bad side of Ten Hag, that kind of a thing. So could be Hannibal. I'd say I don't even know if I'm 50-50 on Hannibal. I just wasn't sure what to do. Maybe they run out like a 4-3-3 kind of thing. Maybe it's the 4-1-4-1 kind of thing where you do have McTominay, Amrabat, and Kobe Mino in there. I think that is possible, but it just feels like kind of an ugly ugly setup, especially when you look at their back line and what's going on with their injuries. And now they're traveling to Liverpool, have been dominant at Anfield this season. I just think it's kind of a questionable setup, but maybe that's what they do. I'd say I'm 50-50 on whether it's going to be Hannibal or someone else in there. Someone that Ten Hag actually likes and doesn't get into fights with in training will get the start. Maybe that's Kobe Mino. Maybe he starts there with McTominay and Amrabat. I say that's the main question, and then we still have a question of Sergio Reguilon. That's all I got there. Thank you for watching this. Rotowire.com/soccer trial. 48-hour trial. You can use this cheat sheet. Again, our lineups. You can also go to EPL and then lineups, of course, look at these. But these lineups are updated as pressers come out, as news come out. I will update these. We will update these as more information comes out. So keep an eye on, if you're setting your So Rare lineup, if you're setting your FPL lineup, whatever, changes will be made here and there. Or honestly, you can just go to the EPL section, then hit our news, and then see what news is actually coming out. So you can see all the news that's going on. You can see the new injuries, the quotes on all these players coming out. We do that, almost around the clock. So a couple more options for you to see what's going on in the Premier League. Here's the odds report. Rotowire.com/soccer trial, 48-hour trial. You can find me at Zdroik on Twitter. Follow Rotowire Soccer at Rotowire Soccer. Any questions, DM either one of those accounts, tweet at any of these accounts, whatever. We'll try and answer them. And hopefully you enjoyed this show. We'll see what the next couple weeks look like in terms of my lineup show. These lineups are obviously always going to be here. This lineup show, maybe not always going to be here because, of course, holidays are coming up. I will be traveling a bit, and there's a bunch of games. So I can't guarantee I'm going to have 30 minutes to jump on and do the show. But anyways, thank you everyone for watching this. Any questions, feel free to hit us up. Also, rotowire.com/chat to get into our Discord. See everyone at some point in the future. I don't know. Happy holidays, I guess. I got the Christmas lights going. So see everyone later. Good luck in game week 17.